Hey guys, it's Shroomy and welcome back to part 2 of my building series. So today we are going to be doing the furnishing side of building. So in the last episode you learned how to do the outside of your houses. So in this episode we're going to be kind of focusing on the inside and how you can make your interiors look nice. So my first tip is always look at different swatches. Now that might seem like a silly thing to be doing, but when you are building you kind of always rely on the swatches that come up at the bottom. So here, for example, in this kitchen that I made, sorry it's not great, I just did it as a demonstration for this video, you might just be looking at all of these tiles and thinking, oh my god, they're really gross. For example, this one looks disgusting in that horrible blue colour, but then when you go to this one you see there's actually some quite nice ones which kind of go with your house. Or this one, this is a hidden gem, right? So this one you might just, oh look at this, ooh yucky ooh tiles. White one, a gorgeous subway tile. So don't underestimate the tiles that come in the game and how nice they can actually be. Also, another personal favourite of mine is if you go into this section, you scroll down and you just see this yucky one here. But then if you put this in white, it's the most beautiful, kind of worn down paneling, which is great as an accent wall in a house. So check out those are some of my favourite things you can put in. So another tip for making your houses look a bit more put together is to have a wood colour scheme. So here I'm kind of not following that rule. So in this house you can kind of tie it in. So I'm using lighter cabinets and lighter furniture here. So you might want to go for a lighter floor. Just like this, for example, and it kind of ties it together and makes it look a bit more, I don't know, uniform, rather than, because in a lot of my houses I use dark woods, which look really nice in The Sims. I love using dark woods, especially in family houses. So it's nice to always have kind of a wood colour scheme, if that's what you want to call it, going through your houses, as it just makes them look a bit more put together. My next tip is don't be afraid to mix objects and experiment with them. So for example, in this kids' room here, we've got this awkward space. Now you could just put a normal dresser there. For example, you could put, I don't know, this one here, but it just looks a bit funny. But you can always experiment. So something that you might have seen other YouTubers do is if you go into the kitchen cabinet section, and if you've ever clicked on this colour bit, you can go into the settings and choose different heights for them. So here you can make it look like some really cool built-in furniture. These cabinets are so useful. All of the cabinets in the game come with this long function. So for example it makes it look like some really cool built-in storage, when in actual fact it's a kitchen cabinet. So don't be afraid, don't be afraid to mix the cabinets and items from other games that you think might fit other places in a house. This is a great thing to use in this form if you're trying to do a cinema room, and you want a built-in TV system. You can do this, and then you can make, imagine this window wasn't here, but you can then make a really good TV surround if you had a big living room and you didn't know what to do with it. Then you've got just an automatic fix of how you can make a really nice TV surround. My next tip is to have a go-to space filler if you're building houses. So I'm going to demonstrate this here in the living room. Let me just get rid of this sofa. So one of my go-to space fillers, which I find works really well, is to use this bookcase. And if you watch the last episode, this is one of the objects you can unlock by putting one of those cheats. It's quite expensive, but I really like it. So this is a go-to space filler. So we've got this really long blank wall and we don't know what to do with it. So you put in one of these bookcases. They're long, they're thin, they don't take up much space in a room. And then you get a plant. So one of my favourite plants, if you've got the base game, this is a great plant just as a space filler. Or if you have Get to Work, this is a great plant. Again, thin, doesn't take up that much space. And then whenever you do on this bit of the wall, you've got a considerably smaller amount of wall to be working with. So something that I like to do is put in a mirror. And one of my favourite mirrors in the game. I think one of the things you've got to do is establish mirrors that you like. And this is another tip. If you've got BB.move objects on and you've got a longer space. So this mirror, lovely mirror, but it just looks a bit funny. So what you could do is I don't know, this, have them staggered. That's a cute look. Or you can make them the same height and then put some across. which instantly makes this kind of elongated mirror that looks really intentional, even though you've just layered them together. And it just adds this bit of like, I know what I'm doing, I know how to play the game. Also, if you've put in glass doors, you can always put, I don't know, for a bit more realism, for example, put curtains across it. One of my tips is to always have a colour scheme for your houses, which I know sounds it sounds harder, but it makes your houses flow a lot nicer having a colour scheme, and I don't know, it just makes them it makes them flow a bit better. So in this one, this is quite a light house. I can imagine blue going really well with this colour scheme. So I would put blue curtains up. Or you really kind of, one of the tips to getting good furnishing is getting to know the objects in the game and knowing what you like about them. So for example, these curtains that came with the toddler pack, you might just think, oh, they're just toddler curtains. But they're not. They're really pretty curtains that have colours that you can easily incorporate into a space. I always recommend having 2 colours and then kind of a material in it, so 2 colours in a brick. Obviously not in a room this small, but throughout a house, it makes it look really nice. And also, you need to look at different swatches. So this bed, you might think, oh, this is a really pretty traditional bed you've got here, but oh, that's a really disgusting shade. And I never really understand why they put such horrible ones up, but you can flick through, and then if you wanted to go with your colour scheme, like look at this, you've got a better bed, which perfectly fits with your colour scheme, and it's just the same bed, it's just because it was in such a yucky one to start with, you didn't even realise that there was such a nice thing hidden underneath it, if you get what I mean. When I was going back to talking about awkward spaces, I kind of have a few go-to objects that take up a lot of room that I love using. So I'm just going to talk about a few of my favourite objects that are really useful. This plant, it is a godsend. Like, you can just tuck this in any corner, it looks so good, it's so full. You can change the pot colour, so in a space like this I would probably do white. And also I have a favourite rug. So this rug is lovely. It's a base game rug, you don't need any packs to have it, but it's so easy to incorporate into a colour scheme. If you don't know whereabouts to start with a room, just flick through some of the swatches. So you could go for a brownie one, you go for purples and yellows, it kind of builds the colour scheme for you. So in a space like this, I would probably, I don't know, go for a lighter one, like this one. But if you wanted to make a nice boys' room, you could go for these ones. It just really depends, but it's a good starting place to look at the rugs so you can tie the room together. So in here you'd say, oh, this house needs to have creams, whites, this nice turquoise colour. So it's nice to be able to have items that you can use throughout your builds that kind of tie it all together. Another space filler that I have is to use these end tables, which I think are kind of hidden because you don't really notice them, but they are such nice items. Like these ones, these industrial ones, they're really pretty. You just put that there and then get a trusty mirror. This is one of my favourite mirrors in the whole game. Raise it up so it looks like it stood on there. Slap a plant on it and you've instantly got a really pretty just space filler. That's what I like to think of them as. And obviously you adapt this to your colour scheme. So here, oh, that's not a very nice shade of wood, but then you've instantly adapted it to your colour scheme and it just fits the space perfectly. So that's one of it. Pictures. I feel like the whole picture selection in The Sims is quite overwhelming if you don't like normally use pictures, but a few of my go-tos are if you have if you have movie hangout, these are so useful because you don't even have to pick out multiple pictures. It's like multiple pictures in one. These are in the base game and they are the most beautiful paintings. There's one of this and then there's one of a man's face. They're really nice to just fill up spaces. Another one that I like is for smaller spaces or like more traditional houses, these tapestries from City Living. All of them are amazing. I love them so much and they come in such pretty colours. So, and if you just want my go-to picture, just this one, you can do it in 1, you can do it in 2, you can do it in 3. It's just a great simple picture. It's really cheap, so if you're building a house on a budget, it's really nice just to be able to use those pictures as they're so cheap and they're like so cheerful. They just add something to a space and they just work out really well. So don't be afraid, I think that's what it is, to mix objects throughout the game. So here I've used kitchen cabinets in a bedroom, kitchen cabinets in a sitting room. living room, whatever you want to call it, and it just helps. And also, I said in my other video about putting in windows that don't necessarily look right from the outside, but when they're tucked around a corner and they would really fit the space, like this window adds so much character to this room. It just adds so much to it. So it's kind of, you've got to think about it from the outside as well. But if you feel like, because without this window, that's just really bland, but then you add that there and it's kind of just this nice coziness and you can see out into the garden. So you've just kind of got to experiment a bit and then find the objects in the game that you really like and use them. Even though your houses may turn out looking slightly the same, you can always change the colours of stuff and mix it up occasionally depending if you're doing a modern or a traditional house. I think that's also a thing you want to do. If you like building modern houses, try and put the good selection of modern items they have from the game in it, because if you start mixing too much traditional stuff with the modern stuff, it does look a bit odd. The Sims is it's got quite a good divide. Like this one is a kind of more of a transition item. It looks modern, but it's not like really, really traditional. But some of the stuff you wouldn't really want to be putting in a traditional house. Like you wouldn't really want to put that in a traditional house, but it would look great in a modern house. So most of the items you can put through completely fine. And here's another item that I really like putting in kitchens. This plant looks really gross in that swatch, but then like there's a really pretty blue. So you've just kind of got to play through looking at all of the swatches. And obviously there are some items that you're not going to use. Like I don't use this shower a lot, but you guys might like it. So it's kind of just finding your own personal style and then just using those items. That's why you'll find if you look at Simmers on YouTube, they all have different kind of ways of furnishing. So mine's quite a traditional one. I really like the style of my builds. I mean, they do look a bit samey, but you can change it up sometimes. But if you're struggling just from the off, it's a good place to start if you're going to build something. So that kind of concludes my furnishing part of this episode. I hope you enjoyed the series. I hope it was helpful. Please like, comment and subscribe to join the Shroomy family. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. So bye guys!